Okay, today I wanted to talk about an older game I used to play back in high school called Army Men. Now, this game was kind of different for how it was set up. I mean, this goes back to basically taking from the little toy soldiers that you got in those big bins. If you remember, there was tons and tons of these figures. They were little plastic men and different weapons in different positions you could like set up around the room, kind of like what you saw in Toy Story. I know there was a lot of titles. I went back and played some on the PlayStation, like the original Army Men 3D, but I didn't play a ton of them, and I didn't really know about them until a friend of mine told me about the franchise. So I went back and played some of the campaigns. I enjoyed them, but when I went back and played the earlier ones, it felt like the graphics were so bad to me. Because later, I played the later ones in the franchise where they started getting a little bit more improved in the frame rates and the motions and things like that. So going back and playing the older ones, it was definitely like a step backward. The violence was kind of toned down for what it was, because it was just plastic little men running around shooting each other. And I think that was a good selling point because, like I said, it wasn't too graphic, so younger kids could play it up to adults, to whoever, pretty much all age groups. One thing I really liked about it was the soundtrack, because it sounded like those old action movies that you used to watch on TV all the time. Very intense, and it just kind of matched the vibe of the levels and what you were up against. So if it was like stealthy missions, it was kind of slower, and if it was like real intense where you're going in guns blazing trying to take out tanks and helicopters, the music got very intense. So I kind of like that, going with the theme of the game, because it just kind of fell right in. And a lot of games don't do that well. The soundtrack seems off for what is actually going on. So this game actually put the music very well with the action. I played a lot of military games, especially the Call of Duties, because who hasn't at this point? One thing that was really cool, this was just standard weapons. A lot of these shooting games get so ridiculous where they put stupid weapons that just do not match what is going on in the game. It would be like you have rifles and machine guns and things like that, and then you got these plasma weapons, and it's like, where's this coming from? Or an electric weapon, or just something that's just an oddball thing that does not match the vibe of the game. But this stuck to the guns, literally, because you had just weapons that are traditionally used in war. You have your rifles, you had a sniper rifle, you had a bazooka, you had machine guns, and you had a shotgun for up close range. So you had a good, well-versed from long distance to up close. But one of my all-time favorites was the flamethrower. I love that weapon so much. When we were playing 4-player deathmatch, it was terrifying when somebody had that around a corner, because you'd get burned and you would just run and you'd try to stay right out of the range of the flames. And the animation was hilarious, because since you're a plastic figure, when you got burned alive by the flames, you would literally just fall back and your character would just melt to the ground. It was hilarious. And but yeah, just having those, that was like my favorite, just to hit people with and watch them run around dancing, getting melted up. So since you're just a small little toy action figure, plastic figurine, whatever you want to call it, it kind of reminded me of like the Toy Story scene from the first movie, where the characters are up on the shelf and they're running around like the actual room, Andy's room I think it was. And here you go, you're out there in the same kind of situation. Since you're being this little toy, you go to these different realms, and it was cool because you're fighting in a sandbox, you're fighting in the backyard, you're going through the kitchen. I think that was like one of our favorite levels. That and I think there was a living room level where you played in like a den, and it was like Christmas time, and you were jumping on presents and point behind the Christmas tree or an ornament. And I just think that was very unique, because I played a lot of team deathmatch games. I've been in like millions of different levels and stages that developers have made, but being in this kind of realm, just being around like stuff you'd see like cabinets and shelves and books and things like that, and taking cover behind them and having open warfare in that just little atmosphere, it seems very unique. Like, my friend just shot me across the way from the kitchen sink all the way across where the toilet seat was, and I got hit by a sniper rifle. It's just, how many games can you say that happens in? So just the elements and the levels were kind of cool like that. It gave you a different kind of challenge and a different viewpoint. You had to actually take cover, and you had to crawl or be precise in how the setups were, because if you weren't, you just got murdered. And true to war, I mean, that's kind of how it is. You know, it's very mobile, and you got to move around and be in the right places and take the right shots. And this game did that really well. So I'd say going back, the best one, and I think the last release it had was Army Men Sarges Heroes. That's the one that actually introduced me to the series. Like I said, I was kind of late getting into it, but I got it for a gift, and back when I was younger for the N64, and me and my friends, we had a blast playing. The matches were really close, and the weapons were kind of fair and balanced, which you don't get that a lot these days. You had a chance to win equally. The levels were very differently designed. One of my favorites was the sandbox. But as the multiplayer was a lot of fun, the campaign wasn't bad either. I remember going through it, and it was challenging at points. I think there was different difficulties you could put it on. Sarge's Heroes was great. I thought it was one I definitely kept for the N64, just because the design and how unique the game played. Those graphics and just the simplicity of it was kind of fun. And if you've never played the Army Men games, I would definitely check that one out, the Sarge's Heroes, because it was one of the last ones they made in the franchise, but to me it was the most fun, and it's definitely one to try out, especially if you like third-person shooters.